Monday. Here we go again. It is Monday, April 7th, the year of our Lord 2025. It's somehow still January outside, and we're back with Make City Make Spence. Uh, Garrett Comat's here. As always, not alone to talk all things Detroit City Football Club, even if we don't really want to talk about all things Detroit City Football Club. Joining tonight, as always, the man with the plan, production, graphics, all that fine jazz, Adam Hernandez, and the main sake of Make City Make Spence, the keeper of the pizza minds, the architect of words about shapes, his Patreon, where you can check it out for $3 a month. Sean Spence. Fine, gentlemen. How are you on this Monday?
I'm trying to
I'm okay.
figure out this stopwatch because, like, I just noticed that I can broadcast it to everybody, which I don't want to do because we did
Mhm.
get a request to timestamp stuff. Um, and I figured it out. I figured out how to not broadcast it to everybody because that's not what I wanted to do. So if you see a
20
timestamp, you see a
seconds in.
stopwatch,
Yeah,
then
20 seconds in, Sean begins bloviating. The
yes.
end.
5 minutes
I got,
in,
I got it, I
political
got it,
outburst by all of us.
I got it right now. I got it right now. Go ahead, Sean.
Here
40
we
seconds.
go.
All right then. Yeah, hi. How's everyone doing today? Go for it, Garrett. You got the agenda. I'm just the, village fool. So I'm here to fool it up.
What are you trying to say? Are you trying to say that the three of us don't know ball? I feel like we've heard that before.
I
Um,
mean, it is what it is.
yeah,
It
I
is what
think
it is.
I think it is what it is a fine way transition, whatever you want to call it, to describe Detroit City Football Club's last match, which took place a couple of days ago on April 5th, a 4 o'clock afternoon, till the historic Keyword Stadium against Western Conference side Monterey Bay FC, who were coming in 3 wins in a row in league play, but a U.S. Open Cup exit at the hands of the Burrito Brava of El Farolito. A few changes that were made to the Detroit City FC starting 11, which we'll go into in our discussion. But I had the pleasure of watching with near and dear close friends of the both of ours, all three of us here at Dion and Jackie's, and I felt like, and also the Good Brothers were with us as well. And I feel like that we had the match reminded me of a lot of City the last 4 or 5 years. And that was we had more fun at times watching our friend Jackie play her roller coaster tycoon than a lot of the Detroit City FC match that was on the secondary screen. A
On the
match,
second screen.
yeah, we had two TVs. We had two TVs
Well,
in your
hey,
living room.
put Roller Coaster Tycoon on the big one.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
wait a
it was.
second. Wait a second. Was Roller Coaster Tycoon, was it on the big screen and City
They're
got
both the same.
demoted?
They're both the same size TV.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
I think. I think. I don't know the
I thought
specs
the
of the
way you were
TVs in
describing
there.
it, I was like, wow.
There was
I always thought
one
like,
TV,
Yeah.
roller coaster tycoon.
If I've said
Next
it once,
TV,
I've said it 1,000 times. It's
well, no,
Spinal Tap before the puppet show. Spinal Tap before the puppet show.
yeah, no, like I thought it would have been like at a bar or something, like after halftime where people are like, "Hey, can you just put Roller Coaster Tycoon up on the big TV?" This is
Yeah. Like I'm playing it on my laptop. I'm gonna cast it to the TV so people can watch it, and you can just watch the game on your phone. Um,
so basically, the way to describe why we were paying attention, why we were enjoying watching Jackie play Roller Coaster Tycoon, was because Detroit City FC and Monterey Bay FC ended 0-0. It was cold, it was damp. Sean Spence and I were sensible humans and were not in person at Keyworth Stadium on Saturday. Adam, however, was, and in the change of format, while keeping in it, Adam, you get to lead off, talk about being there, your in-person sites, views on the match, and then obviously let's roll that into Sean.
well, I was taking many sites. I walked from the wall side, the VIP side, into
take
the
us take
support.
like take us through. Yeah, take us through your whole match. Like you move around a lot.
You
Yes,
move a
that
fuck ton.
yes, and that match I did move around a lot because I was able to move around a lot. Unlike the last home match, where there was just like wall to wall people, this one wasn't as full. So I was able to get around a little bit more. Started in VIP. On that end, I wasn't actually sitting there. I was in the corner flag there, opposite end of the media tent. And then I just made my way over to the supporter section. And then finally, I made my way down to um, the opposite end where the suites are and just took in the rest of the game there. And my immediate reaction was, and I'm probably not the best, just because like I said, I was walking around, I was taking in different views, and um, it seemed like we opened up with some good pressure. Story of our life as a City fan, as City in general, they had trouble doing anything once again in that final third. Um, I thought Monterey Bay was the stronger side coming out of the half once again, which I thought was a little concerning because it seems like that's an early theme with this team, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like the opposing sides have always been a little bit stronger coming out of halftime. So
Yeah,
City,
they
for
changed
the
their
most
shape.
part, yeah, was on their heels a little bit that second half. But as things continued to tick away, it just seemed like both teams wanted to get the hell out of there because it was cold, it was pretty miserable. Um, it was pretty much a stalemate. Um, those final 20 minutes, maybe. I was encouraged by Carlos Herrera. I thought Carlos Herrera was um, very good in net on Saturday, which is a welcome sight to see. Obviously, with Carlos number one being down, you kind of worry about that keeper depth, obviously, because we went out and signed McCruva as well. So I was encouraged by that. But again, it just seems like it's the same thing over and over. Finishing in that final third, being able to generate something in that final third, and more recently making those second half adjustments. So that opposing side hasn't come out as strong as they have been. And what else was I going to say? One more thought here. Um,
Tatenda
I lost
Makruva
it.
really cheesed up with the photo that you took of him, by the way,
He- I
grabbing the
told him
crest and all.
I told him to do that too. I'm like,
Oh,
hey,
don't
attend.
fucking admit trade secrets.
I had to. I'm like, hey, can you hold the crest up? And he's like, yeah, sure. And he held it. But yeah, I mean I mean, like I said, I said it last week. I'll say it again this week. If this was a game in August, in late July, or even all of July, I'd be a little bit more concerned. But because it is so early on in the season, I'm not freaking out about it yet. But I mean, obviously, it's something that you know, obviously things need to be worked on as far as offensively. Again, defense was pretty good. And the more things change, the more they remain the same with this team. So
Seriously, that that was kind of it felt very 2022 to me. Like uh Monterey Bay came in as with the best attacking numbers in the league, and really, besides there were a couple of moments of danger that Carlos did well in, but you know generally what happened to them is what happens to our opponents when they run into our defense, which is they kind of suddenly don't look so great. They don't look so um so a nil-nil for this. I think that if you'd offered me that before the match, I'd probably be like, okay, that means at least we can say, okay, this defense is getting it together. And I think we can say that. It is concerning that we're once again looking at a performance that had maybe three decent chances over 90 minutes, despite having a lot of the ball in the first half. Um, we we made some adjustments that I think that Danny and the technical team made some adjustments that I think worked pretty well, especially in the first half. Ryan Williams dropped. It was kind of the lone pivot in the formation, so it's kind of a 3-1-4-2 in some ways, with Connor joining the attacking line, and that worked tremendously. Connor is pretty good at finding space between the lines, and he did it consistently through the first half, and that was really the key to our buildup early on, was him finding space kind of in the half spaces and between the lines, and being able to quickly turn and move the ball forward. And Connor is decisive with the ball. He doesn't come off a lot of the time, but he doesn't he doesn't usually just dither until it's all gone away. He understands that, like, getting the ball in those spaces is a rare thing, and you need to make the most of it. Having said that, what did we make of it, really? I think the American Soccer Analytics people said that City put up a 0.66 expected goals, meaning that if you play this match 100 times, we would expect to score a goal about 2/3 of the time. And it's at home, that doesn't seem like enough. I haven't done enough digging into what's going wrong, and it's like we really don't have a ton of data. To me, it looked like the midfield thing worked and was a big problem for Monterey Bay, and then they just kind of switched up their shape a little bit to account for Connor in those spaces. And after that, the second half was basically waiting for somebody to like shit themselves and give up a goal, as neither team wanted to get overcommitted and get countered on. And I think it was interesting that they subbed Ben at half. I thought he seems like a guy who had been pretty integral to the build-up play so far. But I think the thinking was that like Connor was kind of handling that, and now they could get Jordan on, and Jordan can make runs in behind that really aren't there for Ben with his level of pace. And then Monterey Bay changed their shape and took away what we were adjusting to, and Jordan, ran pretty hard in his 45 minutes, but didn't create a whole lot. Ates Juf looked pretty decent, but only got 15 minutes.
Yeah, it came on in the 73rd.
So, the Japanese kid,
Yamazaki.
I don't think he was even on the bench, was he?
No,
Nope,
he was in the supporter stands, lighting off smoke.
Right.
He was popping smoke with Matt Sheldon and Carlos Una, aka Carlos Saldana.
So, I guess what I'm getting out of this is that we are still there's no fixture congestion here. We are early in the season. Everyone's fit. Everyone's available. And we're changing things up because we're looking for we're looking to create more chances. It has to be what we're trying to do. That is obviously the situation, that our difficulty has always been our difficulty since we joined the USL Championship. The first time City have a free scoring team, I don't think any of us will know quite what the fuck to do. But still isn't here. We're not there. It hasn't happened yet. And it seems like this team has more talent, considerably more talent in the attack than any City roster I've seen. And I'm talking specifically about Ates Juf and Jordan and Ben and Darren, Jesse L. That's a that's a group with a lot of ability, but we're not seeing it come together. Um,
Hey, Sean,
yeah.
quick question for you. Um, is this a game that City loses last year or even 2 years ago? Do you think?
Uh, I don't know. Maybe. um, I mean, they created enough chances that there were this could have gone either way. It was
Hmm.
pretty even. So it was really well within the realms of possibility that they win this match. Um, uh, so I don't know.
Because I'm with you. I'm with you. I thought that this game was going to end on some by some bullshit goal on either
You're just
side.
waiting for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I figured there'd be like a double deflector, a set piece that goes off an ass, something like that. And I was worried that Monterey were going to show up like in great form and just like uh, put us under tremendous pressure, but they did not at all.
Hmm.
The city came out and really, within the first 5 minutes, had seized control of the match and stayed in control in a fairly impressive way. But the problem isn't now keeping the ball. We have had we've now had put together. Early on, that first team struggled to even keep the ball. We really were playing on the back foot a lot. This team doesn't have that problem. Like between the now the center backs who are now very experienced at this level, the level of talent we've got all around the pitch. A guy like Ryan Williams would have been like a star on that first team. And he's just a dude in the roster on this team. He's not like super exceptional. So we are better. The talent is better, but that's what the money gets you. You know, we've got more money now. The rest of it, this team has not gelled into a critiquable shape at this point. That is the thing I'm worried about, because that I used to write about and follow and support the Chicago Fire. I have seen teams go through like two whole MLS seasons and never cohere around any sort of shape, style of play, anything. Just sort of stumbling face first, like your fucking Sunday league, beer league teams. That can happen with professional players. Like when it starts going bad, everyone starts freaking out and worrying about themselves, and it takes a lot to kind of get everyone on board. Now, we haven't had that problem ever at City, because we've always had really kind of solid locker rooms until you know
23.
2023. um and that's one of the things where I don't know. I think a lot of the problems in 23 were us realizing that we needed to have more talent, but that we didn't have enough money to really go grab more talent. So you had to take a lot of risks on the kind of like people you're getting. You know what I'm saying? They really like to do a lot of personality stuff, but sometimes you just got to get a dude who can like actually run and play. And if he's a little bit of a flake or a little bit of a weirdo, Cruyff is weird. What are you going to do?
We're
Um,
we're
yeah.
all weird.
So and yeah, but when it goes wrong, it looks like that. Like it looks like all the players sort of leaving, not looking at each other, just kind of glumly, and the team looking like garbage. Um, so I don't want. I hope that's not where we're headed here. Is what I'm saying.
It's it reminded me there was plenty of times, and I felt like a few times in that match, the first half more so. We're having the ball, we're moving the ball well. But there was a stat, I think there was a graphic that came up about 25, 30 minutes into the first half. It said we had 68 possession to Monterey Bay's 32. And I was really trying to intently look at the graphic as much as John Krieger's voice was trying to like direct me off there and everything. We had two or three shots to Monterey Bay's none, but we had 7 touches in the final third compared to Monterey Bay's 14.
Yeah, I things like that. I mean, okay, I get your point, and I get the point about why they're putting the graphic up there because it did kind of look that way.
Yeah.
To me, I would say those kind of stats snatched from a performance that's still going on
Right.
are very seldom. It's like they're 5 of 8 from 3-pointer land in the last 1 minute and 27 seconds. It's like
Yeah, like a metric. Yeah.
okay, they're hot, is what you're saying. Um, and to me, that means they're going to cool off. Like teams have a mean typically,
Mhm.
but that's not what they're implying. You're like, oh, check it out. Lots of explosion graphics. Obviously, the basketball just got over with, so
I'm watching Pistons right now, so it's actually perfect timing on there. But I'm also what my also concern at times, what I felt like was yelling was when we're making these runs in spaces that we have, and we're 20, 25 yards out from the edge of box, and we have some green grass, there's an inkling somewhere, and we've yelled this in the few years past, and this is where Elijah would be perfect for a match like this. Try taking a shot if it's not working. But because by the time we got to the minute with that opportunity, the minute was passed, then we're kick it up to the wing. We throw a ball over like a looping header that wasn't working on this day. I thought when Otis came on in the second half, he was throwing a couple balls into the box that were some spicy balls, I thought, in that moment. But I was just kind of like, I'd like us to try taking chances a little bit when we have space for it. If what we're trying, it seems like we're trying to do the thing over and over and over again sometimes, even though it doesn't seem to be working. And it's something that, regardless of roster, personnel, coaching staff, year over the years, it's same as it ever was.
I mean, okay, I have a lot of, I'm a Gen Xer, so reflexively contrary. Um, you know, I think the shot from 25 yards has gone away in the game for the same reason the mid-range jumper has gone away in basketball. Like the data shows that it's a fucking loser, and like the thing that sucks is so many of those great goals that you could think of. I mean, I'm a Liverpool fan, and would you like the highlight package from Steven Gerrard would be like half the length if he doesn't
Yeah.
start, if he's not banging in 25-yard goals. But what they don't say is that he's a generational talent, and two, he missed like 6 or 7 of those badly for everyone he put on frame.
Sure.
And you know if you look, like, he was playing for teams that didn't generate a lot of offense, so, and he was like the Superman, so he could kind of do whatever he wanted. So I don't know. I But I see what you're saying, and I think that there is an in-game justification for shooting, which is that like their center backs were dropping very quickly. Once we were in the final third, their center backs were like on top of their keeper,
Yeah.
and like looking to angle off runs, like they're not trying to hold the line at all. And then their midfield would go back kind of where our center backs tend to hold, like a step or two inside the area. That's kind of where they're like. So they were dropping people really deep, and that does open up those things, those shots. Now you're going to have to get through a lot of traffic and all that, but really, when you're shooting, maybe you're buying a lottery ticket, and maybe you get $1 million. But what definitely happens is, those guys are going to step forward because the next time, if you can just put a shot on frame, that'll kind of put a bolt into them. They'll be like, oh God, they really could just score from there. They haven't even done anything yet, and they just score. And yeah, so I think there's argument on both sides. I would not like to see us cranking 4 or 5 of those off in a single match. That would, to me, indicate that that we're just impatient and sort of out of creative ideas. And um, the thing that worries me is that we do get into stodgy territory pretty quickly, and that's what we looked at here. They're just in the full possession set. Are we able to create shots? And if not, then like that's clearly going to be something we're going to see. Like people are just going to be like, yeah, have the ball, you know. Because I mean, this league has a ton of teams that would love to like just try to play you on the counter. Everybody's got a really fast guy, you know. So yeah, it's not ideal. I do think the adjustments that Danny made, the 3-1-4-2, I thought that looked pretty good. The thing about it was like instead of Steven playing really in line, he was very much the cover back. Like they became a diamond with Ryan at the tip of it and Stevie at the base of it, and the two wider center backs getting really wide at times. It was a very flexible, smart shape, because I really think that our defenders are next level mentally. And, Monterey has caused a lot more problems to everyone else they played this year. And they just kind of got citied when they came here. They'll blame the weather.
Yeah. 3 stars say Rouge.
Adam or me?
You go ahead, Sean.
Whoever
I'm
wants
not.
to take. Yeah, who wants to take the lead?
Third place, I Ates Juf for me. I just the kid has something that we need. He can like I really feel like Monterey Bay, a lot of the way they structure their defenses just kind of man to man, and in that situation you got to win your duel, right? And he can beat a guy, you know, just give him the ball at his feet. He can unbalance him, read which way he's unbalanced, and then go the other way, and bang, he's beat a dude. And now everybody's gonna shift. Everybody's gonna like all the simplicity has vanished from their world, and they have to like shift into like a makeshift zone. And and it really did. Um, it created moments of uncertainty, but there was no final product at all. But that's not strictly the fault of the dude who's serving in the nice little low cross. um I know that the shot is a lot of it, and we didn't get that. Number two, sorry, Maury.
Okay.
I like what Maury Donor gives us. I think it was interesting that Danny put him out there against his old club. So, uh, you know, um, he is very solid. I can see why he got all those minutes. Um, and he is very direct once he's in the final third. He wants to get the ball in his foot and hook a ball into the attacking zone. We had a ton of crosses, um, like 28 crosses, something like that, against Monterey Bay, and completed, I don't know, a few of them, 5 of them maybe.
Yep.
And Maury serves in a decent ball. Uh, I think he and Reese present an interesting contrast. Maury very much more the guy who's more defensively stable, but Reese is also a guy. Has got crazy pace, and he can outrun mistakes or misreads, that a lot of guys can't. And then my man of the match for me is Connor. Um, I could go with Carlos, but I always feel dumb analyzing goalkeepers because I just don't know anything about it. Really, looks good to me. Um, I've spent a lot more time thinking about field players. But Carlos looked good. I want to say Connor, just because I kind of was surprised how good he looked in that role. I expected him to provide a lot of energy, but he looked, he looked like a fucking footballer. He was combining well. He was making great decisions without the ball and with the ball, winning the ball. He's got surprising size, and is good in the air, and just brings a lot to the table. That you wouldn't like. He's an easy guy to underestimate, is what I'm saying. And
Right.
I think a lot. I think people like. I don't think it's supporters that are underestimating. I think that people in the USL Championship. I think the other players in the USL Championship underestimate him. Think of him as like he's like the local guy who came up with us, and he's like a Detroit, like the kind of a little mascot kind of vibe in the way the league. And it's like look, no, Connor's a baller. He's going to be like he's going to be like a city legend when he retires. You know, there are limitations in his game, but like this is the local boy, right? This is what happens. Like the local guy, who gives a shit if he got holes in his game? Like he plays with his heart, and he's pretty fucking good. So yeah, I am all the way on board the Connor Rutz train at this point, which is kind of weird. But here we are.
Funny how life goes full circle sometimes.
Well, I mean, like he's earned it.
Yeah,
Like
agreed.
work, work, and like big open-hearted work. You know what I mean? He's not like Cristiano Ronaldo works really hard, right? But it's like you imagine that every workout is like Patrick Bateman having sex in the movie. It's like he's just looking at himself. He's like lifting weights and going like, oh, my traps look crazy great. And that's Connor works hard like to be a better teammate and to be a better part of the team. And I'm long may it continue.
All right. So we got Sean's. So we got Sean going.
Can I just do 20 minutes on the top three? God.
Maybe. Adam, what about you?
No, you didn't, because I have my timer going, Sean. We started this at 26 minutes in, I believe,
You did
and we are now at
70
32.
minutes.
Okay, so you went 6 minutes. That's not too bad.
Um, this does come full circle because I am going to say my third star is Carlos Herrera.
Carlos
And
does.
I'm looking at this from a hockey aspect here. Oftentimes in hockey, you have to protect against the bullshit goal at the end of the game. Um, so I think that's what Carlos was doing. I think he very much was protecting against that bullshit goal late. And which is obviously so important because we talked about that earlier on in the show tonight, about City possibly giving up that bullshit goal,
Yep.
or Monterey Bay for that matter. Both keepers kept them. They protected their teams from giving up that bullshit goal, and I thought Carlos did a good job at doing that. And when you have a nil-nil game in that type of weather, your keepers are that much more important. So I can't go on without recognizing Carlos in that respect. Second star, I also have to go with Connor Rutz. Garrett, this is something you don't see anymore, and I know you're going to agree with me on this.
Yep.
You don't hear supporters talking shit about Connor anymore. You just
Nope.
you don't do it. And this is something that I personally said, and I can say this because there's past evidence of this about Connor in the sense that he has a place in this league. Connor is one of the hardest working players out there on that pitch, and it is paying off. It has paid off because he's further cemented himself with a place um, on this team and in this league. So, and he did it again. He did it again Saturday. So I would be amiss again if I wasn't recognizing Connor in that aspect, just because um, he reminds me a lot. I don't know if I've said this before. If you want to bring, if you want to do like a Red Wings crossover here, he reminds me of a Chris Draper. He reminds me of
Yep.
of of that type of player who isn't the best player out there, not by any stretch of the imagination, but he is without a doubt one of the top three hardest workers on either team. And that's what Connor's going to give you every single time that you put him on the pitch. He's going to
Yep.
give you 110%, as cliche as that sounds, every single match. And yeah, Connor Rutz. And finally, my last one, I'm gonna go with Ryan Williams.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ryan Williams is, sometimes very quietly one of the best players on the pitch, until he scores like one of those bangers in Houston. Um,
Man,
Ryan loves
and th
both goals in Texas, actually. Houston and San Antonio are
yeah,
banners
Ryan Williams only scores bangers.
in Texas.
In Texas. But something else Ryan Williams also highlights too is the depth that City has now on those wings. Because like you mentioned, Reese Williams didn't even play on
No. Yeah.
Saturday, and that's something that you've never seen really, too much before in the past. But with Ryan Williams, Maury Doner, Alex Villanueva, who has moved more to the center, it's Matt Sheldon when he's out there. I mean, there's just so many pieces you could mix and match on that wing, and it's nice to see. And I thought Ryan Williams was arguably the best player for City Saturday. So those are my three.
Um, I feel like I'm gonna go honorable mention Atis Diouf, Carlos Herrera. I think great performance in for Atis. Hope he can continue to consistently get minutes. I agree with Sean full-heartedly. He brings something to the matches that this team needs. Whether you put him wide, whether you put him in the hole, whether you put him up top, he's a breath of fresh air. And I really would love to see the potential of him and Jordan on the pitch at the same time, with just being able to fucking run at the fences. That's a thought that is I'm intrigued by. Those are my honorables. So now let's go into and again, I thought Herrera, second matchup in a row. Getting a clean sheet also is great too, especially on your home debut. In that, star number three for me is Connor Rutz. Great hardworking shift. Adam, we talked and like you said, the thing that I love about that I'm like Connor Rutz has worked his way up from being a potential afterthought in the new regime to an integral part in this regime.
Mhm.
And you can put him up top, you can put him in the hole, you can put him wide, you can put him central. Another key piece, and that type of versatility is massive, especially when we start picking up in competitions as we are going to be having these next couple of weeks. Star number two, Maury Donor. Um, I really like seeing how defensively solid he is, but how aggressive he is when we're on attack and getting forward.
He reminds
Being
me of like like an English League One wingback.
yeah,
Like just a steady grinder, smart, like canny, doesn't get caught out a bunch.
yeah,
Picks his spots, can likes to curl in a good ball. Like I don't know, I like it.
yeah. I'm intrigued by that, and I think I feel like for our next matchup ahead, I think he's a perfect fit, which we'll talk about shortly. Star number one, I'm with Adam, Ryan Williams. Um, I think
Does he call himself a Scouser?
I think he does. I think our
I mean,
our re
he's definitely from that, from the region. Like he could if he wanted to.
he like Sean Spence and Sal Kuzmano of our Majors Detroit Matchday recap team. He's a Liverpool supporter also. So
Shamikoff,
yeah,
I'm just saying.
George Shamakoff as well. Yeah, George will like message us, I'm sure, or Sean if we don't say it. But hard work, really great to see him get that role and shine on there. Um, yeah, and the highest rated player for Detroit City on the FOP mob,
Who else?
Ryan
I mean,
Williams.
the
Yeah,
thing for me that like okay, like I like Jay, and I'm half in half out on Marcello, but neither of them are guys who demand the ball and seem to want to determine how the match is about to be played. They're
yep.
they're complementary players to someone like Ryan, um, and you really notice it when Ryan goes in as opposed to you know and like there's nothing wrong with that really. Like there are systems where you don't want somebody who's going to stop the ball and look around, where you want to just keep it moving. You've got a little machine built. We don't have that. So having someone who's like, okay, no, we're gonna like I'm gonna put my foot on this and get organized, but who can also hit beautiful balls. His service is crazy great, and
Best service of the match Saturday was that corner he did early in the first half,
yeah, I mean, like
in my opinion.
to me, I would just have him do literally all the service. Like I know that like Jesse L's pretty good too, and they like the in swinger, but like I don't know, Ryan is kind of on another level to me. Like he's a
Yeah.
guy who can really do special things with the ball, off a dead ball, and I would like to see like what that would look like with him just like doing. Who's the dude? I've just completely. I thought of a player and completely forgotten his name. I think he was Scottish. Um, Sir Alex Ferguson at one point was like, his set pieces are worth 8 points a season.
Was he a United player?
No, fuck, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Like
Now I want to figure it out.
it popped into my head and went out of my head so quickly I couldn't even recall his name, and I was like, "Fuck!" And then I started talking. Like this is the problem with doing a podcast, is that there's no time to think. If I was writing, I would go look it up and I pretend like I knew it all along.
Let me know when you find out, because I'm fucking curious now.
Yeah, I am I'm a big Ryan Williams appreciator, and hope that this wasn't a like a one-off experiment or something. Because look, we've gotten decent performances out of the midfield all along. Um, I think the problem that we're running into is it's hard to see how like that we built a defensive midfield that can very expertly um, defend, keep the ball, move us, that can generally move us through build up into our attacking half, and then it gets tricky. Like, how do we score from that position? And I think that's probably why we had the midfield change, because it's like, all right, well, let's change the shape a little bit. Let's give one more runner for Ryan to aim at. Let's give Ryan a chance to just sort of pick out targets and hopefully create things, in that kind of false transition that you do. And from this evidence, I don't know that it works. But this is the problem: is that like if you start changing things early in the season, it's very easy to just not quite have enough data about anything, and you're not getting good information about how you should play. And so I hope that they either they pick something out of the film from this game that leads to a better change, or they stick with this a little bit and see if we can work our way through it. because Phoenix is not a team. This is look at that. I'm helping you segue, man.
Yep.
I'm fucking professional up in here.
Let's
Um,
go.
um,
It's
go ahead.
yeah. It's yeah. Let's get into it because for a team that's still in third place in the Eastern Conference, four of the 12, we're one of four teams in the Eastern Conference. There's 12 in the Eastern Conference that have played all five match weekends. Every other, so the top four teams have played five match days. Everyone else has only played four. But we're winless in our last three.
Yeah,
Some people that maybe really, really, really freak out may say it's time to do some soul searching in the desert. Go figure. We're going to the fucking desert on Saturday to take on Phoenix Rising, who won yesterday on CBS, big ol' CBS, won their first match day of the season 2-1 in San Antonio. Rising, five matches played, one win, two draws, two losses, nine scored, 11 allowed. And the intriguing part about this Rising stat line is um, they have given up. They've had a few games where they've given up a lot of goals on the road. They've played two at home, one draw, one loss, a two scored, which was the 2-2 draw with Rhode Island, and then losing 1-0. That was against Tulsa
so
on opening day.
yeah. They haven't been shut out since opening day. They've scored a lot of goals. For a team that's only won one game out of five.
New manager and all that.
Right. San Antonio were unbeaten, untied until yesterday when Phoenix beat them at their place. So for their first win, so it's difficult to know exactly what we're talking about here. With like the form is so up and down in the early season that it's difficult to know exactly what you're going to see. Um, the very strong tendency is to look at those numbers and look at some of the underlying, some of their just under the surface numbers and say, okay, well, we should create a hat load of chances against them. But you would have thought the same thing about Monterey Bay, and we did not. Now, it's certainly going to be warmer in Phoenix than it was in Detroit here last week. So maybe that'll help some.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like this game is one that is very dependent, I think, on kind of the vibe. So the first goal is going to be paramount. I think Phoenix, if they can get a first goal, they're going to feel like, okay, this is our new narrative. It took us a while to get going, but we just beat San Antonio, who are undefeated, and Detroit. They're the first fucking picture on every USL thing. So fuck them. Let's do this. And on the other hand, if City can get the first goal, then they'll probably start to wonder if it was all mirage. If they just had a good day. Um, what I'll be looking for is that we create actual like chances
Bingo.
that we're taking shots in a situation where you're like, oh, that really could have, that you're not. It's not like 3% of the time that might have been a goal. Like, oh, if only a miracle had accompanied that final strike of the ball. Yeah, that's. I just want to see chances. The thing is, what if okay, so what if this is the thing I wonder is, what if the problem is just our basic structure? If it's just the three center backs, the one wing back kind of staying a little closer in, instead of playing like a 3-5-2, playing kind of a lopsided 5-3-2. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe we just but it doesn't look like it to me. Like, we are often getting numbers into the box. My question is whether we do it quickly. I don't think our players always read when it's there to press to go at goal, or they're being told, look, no, the priority is maintaining control, slowing the game down. Maybe that's I don't think so, but like it kind of looks like that sometimes because we'll get into advantageous positions and it's like our players don't quite grok that this is as good as it's going to get, you know, like you got to make this fucking go. And they're kind of like, I don't know, like it's, you know, they're like picky eaters, like no, like try to eat everything on your plate, guys. Like that's my frustration right now with the team is that, and it could just be a belief thing. It could just be that all the attackers are kind of like, I don't know, like Darren's not a guy who creates offense. He's a guy who finishes a move, right?
Yeah.
So exclude Darren from this, but like everyone else, there are times where it does look like they just kind of don't believe in themselves. They don't think it's going to happen. You know, they'll do things that like kind of look ballsy, but also look like giving up. You know, like you're triple teamed on the corner of the penalty area. Just try to dribble up. Like, okay, well, that is going to work one time out of 1,000, and you're going to look amazing. But most of the time, it's going to be easily broken up, and you're probably going to get countered on because one of those guys is going to realize, oh, I'm not needed here, and start running. So like, so okay, the proper, you know, if your mind's all the way on, you go, oh, I've got three guys, and you're just looking to like stab it to somebody. You know, you're not gonna you're just trying to get rid of the ball without losing it because you've wandered into a dark alley with a lot of dudes with knives, and like things like that. That is where I watch these matches and think, oh, it's just not there. They're just not, you know, they're not sensing when the moment is there. And you know, that's part of why you love Connor, because he does eat his whole meal, right? Like one of our best shot, I think, in the second half was that bullet from Connor
In stoppage time.
right? That could have won the match. Like it looked like it was a classic Connor Rutz, like fuck it, like, and you know, unfortunately, it was straight at the keeper, easy catch, but like he hit it well. Yeah, I don't know, I'm rambling now. You know, it does feel like there's some sort of like center of gravity in the way we play, and maybe it's just that like Stephen Carroll is so fucking good that we've always been really good defensively, and the other part is hard, and that's been kind of not really there. But it feels like that's the way we keep drifting. Is like we're gonna bring in all these players, like we're gonna spend more and more and more and more and more and more and more money on attackers, and it's still this way. It's still the same problem. Nobody's beating a guy and cracking it open.
So let me talk about some players in particular from Phoenix that I'm eyeballing right now as ones to look out for. Um, yeah, Margarita, Gerald Margarita from Curacao, who scored the winner yesterday. Noble Okello, Canadian 24-year-old center midfielder who pulls the strings in the center. In the left of center, left wing sometimes, Isan Sako, 27-year-old Frenchman, a goal and 3 assists for Phoenix Rising in the first 5 matches. And the player that returning to Phoenix Rising this year, he was on loan last year from Colorado Rapids. He featured at Keyworth in the second half. Talented forward, a very pacey forward, Remy Cabral. 3 goals in 5 matches this year. 6'1", 25-year-old player. So players that can run, players that got pace, players that got some athleticism.
What is they're playing very like 4-4-2 long ball.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, a way to play. It all really comes down to how devastating those wingers are, right? How often they can take in a long pass in their stride and make the center backs shift and shit themselves. If they can do that, we're gonna have a hard time with it, you know, because that's the ball that killed the 3-5-2. is the kind of semi-diagonal onto the flank, a long ball onto the flank. So you get
Yeah.
those three center backs all having to shift on the fly, and runners like can get to run at them, seeing what they're doing, and like making counter runs because it's all laid out before you, which is unusual. You don't get that a lot. Usually you're kind of in the middle of some hurly burly and you're kind of hoping, trying to suss out where everyone's going, as you're glancing around. In that scenario, on the 4-4-2, where you're like launching a ball to the wing and the winger's getting on it, everyone making runs gets to see what the defense is doing in front of them. And so you can, it's like doing a 5-on-5 passing drill almost, in American football. There's like you create a little tree of runs and it's very dangerous.
Hope Avayewu is another one that could potentially get some minutes for Rising. He had 2 assists in match day 2 against El Paso. Looks like came on 15 minutes against San Antonio yesterday. A goal and 2 assists on there. I think it'll be very interesting to see on that. They got a Neville kid too. I don't know if it's Gary or Phil's kid. In the left back, and I think it's Adrian Neville, I believe is who it is. Harvey Neville. My apologies. Why am I
I
thinking
don't know.
Adrian? I don't know. Never mind. So this is a late one, folks. So
Yeah,
like
super late.
10 p.m. Eastern is when TV coverage starts. So I'd say 10:07 Eastern kickoff.
Right. So midnight is when it's going to finish.
So when the early morning hours of Sunday, April 13th begin, gentlemen, what score will we be reflecting on, and who gets them? Sean, lead off if you'd like, unless Adam feels the honors.
Um, okay, I'll go. I think this is 2-0 City.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think things are that good. I think we're going to be able to hold the ball against them. I think their attempts to counter us will rely a lot of it's going to depend on us figuring out who their passer is and like standing on him and kicking him to make sure that they can't get that outlet ball like perfect, because most of the time our guys can shepherd it away. You just don't want that one that like lands on their foot. So the goal scorers, I think Darren is going to score. Darren Smith. Because I think he just like, if the offense is working, he's one of the guys who's going to score a lot. He's going to get on the end of chances, and he's good at putting them away. And the other goal is going to be the dude that we've just fucking glazed for half an hour, Connor Rutz.
all right. So we got Rising nil, City 2 for Sean Spence.
Yes, 0-2. Sorry.
0-2. Adam, what do you got?
I'm gonna go 1-2 City. Well, I'm writing this down because we never write it down.
You're gonna maybe do it like an article or like a social media post to go along it leading into the match or something.
No, I'm gonna force people to listen to it. So, and I just want to be able to go back and reference our predictions here.
Yeah, like Monterey Bay. I think I said 1-1.
All three of us picked 1-1,
Oh, that's
so we
right.
got we
got the
got the
draw.
point total. We got the draw, just not the score.
And plus, Garrett is slipping on his recount. So, um,
Man, getting old sucks.
I'm gonna go 1-2. I'm gonna say test Diouf
Oh,
because
I hope so.
I
Oh, hell
think
yeah.
I think he's gonna be key, like you're talking about, Sean, with those pacey type of players. I think Diouf is gonna be one of those guys who's gonna be able to counter that. Um, so I hope Danny's listening, because I'm giving out free coaching advice to him right now.
Oh shit, Adam's doing advice. Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
give
I'm so over my skis. I think I just jammed my head in my ass.
I mean, it's free advice. If Danny wants to take it, he can take it. Um, give the off minutes. Give him minutes against Phoenix. I think he scores a
Please,
goal.
yeah, give him like more than 13. Like,
Yes. Give him at least a half. At
give
least
him
a half.
well, I would just like for me, I would just want to say like half an hour. Like just
Yeah.
make him a 60-minute sub. Like give him a little time to build into the game and read it and like all of the things that starters gonna do and see if he can make a difference.
And let's see. Number or my second goal, which this doesn't come in any particular order here. Oh man. Um, fuck it. Ben Morris.
Yeah.
I like that.
So we've been to Phoenix Rising one time before.
Ruined your
Adam
mom's
knows
birthday.
it's the match started off on my mother's birthday. The match finished on Sal Kuzmano's birthday. Phoenix Rising 5, Detroit City FC nil.
Yeah, that was one of the meltdown matches from
That was
2023.
Adam knows I always end talking about this match with this saying. It was Phoenix 5, Detroit City FC nil, you fucking assholes.
Yeah,
We
it's
have a dear friend of ours going back home and gonna be at the match. Our sister Jam Jam will be there. Um, so I feel like because of that, Phoenix Rising nil, Detroit City FC 1.
Jamie gets the
Uh,
goal.
huh?
Jamie gets the goal.
Oh, that would be
Oh, sorry.
fucking. She will not shut. She will never live that down if that happens. You know this.
I don't think she's
Um,
registered. I
I
don't
want to
think
see
she's
her
registered.
run out. I want to see her run out in the pitch with a city flag and just plant
Yeah,
it right
exactly.
in the middle.
Exactly. Let's win and plant the city flag. Do it.
but in tribute for her, we talked about Ryan Williams so far for City only scoring goals in Texas. Texas is in the Southwest region, but so is Arizona, and he's going to score the winner in that match.
Oh my God! If Ryan Williams scores a goal in Phoenix when Jam is there, holy shit!
Yep,
Is that
yep.
so? Do you think is it a set piece call? Like, is it a free kick, or is he?
Yeah, give me a free kick for the extra point. Give me a free kick.
Yeah, I think that that's another reason to have Ryan in the 11, right? Is that if you're having a hard time creating offense, it's really nice to have a guy who can create offense out of dead balls. And we do have a couple guys who know how to fall over and when it's necessary. So yeah, like I'm down. I like it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I'd love for us to bag more, but I think it's going to be a little bit of a grind. But we'll find a way to get it done. Um, and then so we're just going to be talking about Rising this week. We're going to be back at it early next week. We'll have two matches to talk about next week. Because round 3 of the U.S. Open Cup was announced wrong previous Thursday. Detroit City FC we knew was going to be hosting round 3 of the U.S. Open Cup. Their matchup at historic Keyworth Stadium. They will be hosting Westchester SC, a newfound USL League One side, who ironically City's already going to be playing on July 26th in the last group stage game of the USL Jägermeister League Cup. So yeah, we get a newfound side twice. Huzzah. Wednesday, April 16th. So this is the first Wednesday Open Cup match Detroit City FC is hosting since Michigan Bucks in penalties, the AKA the Roddy Green
Roddy
Detroit
Green
versus
match. Yeah.
everybody match. Yeah. May of 2018. So 7 p.m. The weather, I believe, may actually look decently like spring and not like this fucking wintry hell that we're in today.
Amazing.
I can even knock on something so I don't fucking jinx. There we go.
Too late. We're fucked.
Yeah. And then, so we'll be talking about that next week, as well as our league match. 3 days later, Saturday, April 19th, when Adams, with I think somebody that Adam has talked about consistently and reasonably, and people have misunderstood his things that he was saying, aka Maxi Rodriguez returns to Keyworth and Rhode Island comes to town.
I
So,
love Maxi.
Yeah, so it is
Yeah, I mean, look,
yeah.
like I got no beef with Maxi. I wish he stayed, but I get that sometimes you want to try a different thing, and you're probably making a ton more money, and you're seeing a different part of the world. So all right, we're still gonna fucking ride you, like and not dick ride you like we used to. Okay, we're gonna do a different kind of riding.
That's so, like I said, this is a teaser for next week. So to fully get to the discussion on both the matches next week, tune in next week for our discussions on that, and obviously we'll recap our trip in the desert and see if it is how we're thinking it's going to be. Let's wrap up. First off, Adam, ways people can find out the Majors Detroit and ways they can check you out online.
Find us on any social media platform at TMS Next Detroit on Twitter, Blue Sky, um, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, wherever. Also, find us on YouTube, youtube.com/MajorsTV, and our website, Detroit@themajorsports.com. And remember, everyone, you can subscribe, like, leave us a 5-star review on
Right.
any major podcasting platform. And remember too, Make City Make Spence now has its own feed. That's what
Oh my
we're
god.
mostly promoting now, especially on the website. So make sure you go and subscribe to that feed specifically because you'll get all of the Make City Make Spence content sent directly to your computer, your smartphone, wherever it is that you want it.
Carrier pigeon as well, or no?
The
What was
the
that?
the, the
Carrier
layer of
pigeon?
Yes,
carrier
carrier
pigeon.
pigeon as well.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh,
And you can find me at TMSNXAdam on Twitter and Blue Sky.
Sean Spence, the cat picks. Where should they go to?
Damn it, I gotta send him a cat pic.
yeah. Shield chafing is SEYLD SEEAFING. I'm at Blue Sky and Twitter and on an email at Gmail, and I'm sure other places too that I'm forgetting. Um, yeah, that's where you can find me. Oh, Words About Shapes is on Patreon. Patreon/Words About Shapes. Um, that's the writing.
Um, in addition to all that Adam has talked about, our Detroit City FC Hermano podcast, the Channel 451 Tunnel Talk, will also be gathering to talk all things city on that. That should be dropping later. They're gathering a few days from now, so look for that also later on the week. You can find that at Channel 451 on YouTube as well as wherever you check out one's podcasts. And you can find me, Twitter, Instagram, Discord on GM Comats and Blue Sky, GM Comats. .bsky.social. And yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna do as far as like online platforms for now. I really don't want to go down anymore right now. So I think we've covered a fair bit amount. We're a little more optimistic than last week. We're very optimistic about this week. Please, guys, don't fucking let us down. And then early next week, we'll be talking about what's to come as far as Open Cup and league play, both at historic Keyworth Stadium. So, for Sean Spence, for Adam Hernandez, Garret Comats here. Thanks for everybody for checking out another edition of Make City Make Spence. Bundle up in these cold times. Stay warm in these cold times. And yeah, until next time. See ya.